The Remnant series has always had some pretty decent world building and has put a fair amount of dedication into crafting the worlds and lore around them. That being said, it's never been the main focal point. The main focus has always been the amazing combat and core gameplay system, which is a completely valid approach and has worked extremely well for the franchise. However, the Forgotten Kingdom DLC has a much larger emphasis on the story and atmosphere than anything else before it. Geisha has always had a major role throughout the Remnant series, and has always had more attention placed on its lore and world building. The locations tell a story, the NPCs have more dialogue, and the overall story of the area is way more fleshed out than any other location, arguably even more than Earth. With that said, it shouldn't come as a surprise that the Forgotten Kingdom DLC has a large focus on its NPCs and the surrounding environment. But what might be surprising is that the story focus here is greater than the base game, even though the base game also had great Geisha world building, with the Red Doe, how the pan arrived, its guardian, and whatnot. The reason for this more story-driven experience is thanks to the one-shot mode that has been added into Remnant 2. This isn't new as it was present in previous DLC, but what the Forgotten Kingdom has done is put a much larger focus into making this world fit together, using this fixed world to create an awe-inspiring experience. Geisha has always been a visual spectacle, and the areas here are arguably the most beautiful in the entire series. But it isn't just the visuals, it's the way everything was laid out and designed. It's filled with hidden areas, secret rooms, tunnels, puzzles, and other gimmicks. This DLC uses traps and platformings to a great deal, more than ever before. It actually makes you feel like you're exploring an ancient temple filled with all these traps and you just have to survive all the hazards. Now, I think Remnant needs some iframes since a lot of these parts got a little bit annoying with the super long climb up animation, but I digress. You can see the developers here put a lot more effort into making the environment play a larger part. A great example of this is the One Root area, where there is a poison gas constantly there, and you have to fight enemies quickly while trying to remove the source of corruption. Moving on to enemies, the enemies and bosses play a role in the world building as well. Some are just reskins of previous enemies, but the stone enemies here are unique enough and they play into the main story of the DLC. The bosses also play well into the story and world building, and while pretty much all of them here are a little bit more gimmicky than the standard bosses of Remnant, I found this to be new and refreshing, and there are some interesting and pretty dynamic boss fights here. The items and weapons added also fit into the world, particularly with how they're collected. A great example of this world building in action and the items and how they fit into it is the little Red Doe Sanctuary area, or the Grove. While exploring the map, you can stumble into a secret little peaceful area filled with these Red Doe. If you actually have the Red Doe Sigil, which is an item, a secret area underneath the statue will open up, then some Red Doe will run around the door as it opens very cinematically. Okay, not really, but it happened to me and it was really cool. Inside that secret area, there is another amulet with, again, a doe theme. Now, I didn't do this, but if you actually happen to kill all the doe in the area, the Protector of the Grove comes along, and you might have guessed it, it's a powerful doe mini-boss. I just love this since it uses all the elements available in the game. Great loot, a mini-boss, beautiful visuals, and great music. Which, now mentioning music, I haven't really talked about, but now is the perfect time. The sound design and music for the Forgotten Kingdom is really good. The soundtrack fits very well with the area and helps set up the mood and atmosphere. The sound effects for enemies are solid as always, and there are even some sound effects for items that fit really well. Remember that amulet in the secret room I just mentioned? This is the sound effect it makes after you've used it. And this part is also related to sound, but I haven't mentioned the voice acting yet, which makes it the perfect time to bring up the story and voice acting. The story for the Forgotten Kingdom has you follow a Pan as he journeys through the area, discovering these murals along the way. As you get to these new locations, you can talk to him and learn more about the area and what happened here. Now, the name of the Pan is Walt, and he has some great voice acting.
If it is in need of a friend, Walt could perhaps step in. Yes.
The story he tells is very compelling. The only problem I really had is that all three endings, the good Walt ending, bad Walt ending, and good Lydusa ending, are all pretty abrupt. Oh, and Lydusa is just another NPC character that kinda serves as the main villain of the plot. Again, the story is good, the way it progresses feels really natural, and it's interesting to learn about, but the ending is just kinda cut off very quickly. That being said though, the presentation, level design, and gameplay are all blended together so cohesively and in an entertaining way, where the developers have managed to just put everything into that world building and it just works. I think for the price point, the story and, again, everything surrounding it is just an amazing value. If you're not too big on the whole story and lore like I am, there are a fair amount of items and weapons to collect. While there might not be very many, they are of very good quality, like the new archetype that has been added and has been a lot of fun to use. I am super happy about the direction Remnant took with this DLC, and I'm looking forward to what the future of this IP has in store. Thank you so much for watching. Likes, subs really help me out, and until next time, stay awesome.